Welcome to Heart of the Homestead family. I'm Caroline.
I'm Allie.
I'm Heidi.
And I'm Sarah.
Join us as we talk about all things homesteading.
Okay, so Sarah is going to share with us today about getting nutrients into your gardens. This is a great time to amend the soils and get some good healthy soil going. This helps your plants to grow, but also healthy soil weeds don't like. Weeds are telling you when they're growing that this is not healthy soil. So the healthier soil is, less weeds. So
hopefully,
yeah, that's how it's supposed to work. Besides all the seeds that fly in, and
yeah.
But yeah, so what are we going to do to our gardens to get them ready?
Yeah, good question, Heidi. So, I guess it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. That's always the biggest thing. Are you a small backyard garden? Are you a larger operation? Are you looking to improve the soil or just maintain it where it's at? And what are you trying to grow? Because different vegetables and plants take different types of nutrients, right? So, for instance, like blueberry bushes, you want more acidic soil. So you want to make sure that you're using products that are going to acidify the soil, not too much, but then maintain that acidity, right? So that's a big thing. And then the other thing is knowing, are your soils... So there's this theory that some vegetables or plants are more fungally dominated and some are more bacterially dominated. So a strawberry is more fungally dominated soil than most vegetable plants. So you can be amending them differently depending on that. But that's a whole...
That's complicated.
Okay, give us the basics of what we want to do in our little gardens.
Yeah. So the big thing, number one, is just composting, right? I think we've all heard it, but it's so true. You have so much nutrient in the stuff that you're removing from your soil or from your vegetables or in your compost pile. That's the main source that you can be using. It's very underutilized, right? Even your grass clippings and the leaves from your trees, that's all really important. And so I think that's the number one thing, is to start with the sources that you have, right?
Yeah.
Then I think too, people are always afraid, well, I can't make or build a proper compost. I don't know how to do it, or I need the space, or I don't know when to turn it, and I don't know how to cook it and all this stuff. But really at the end of the day, if you think about the way that nature composts, nature isn't out turning the compost pile. It's just rotting in the forest, right? The leaves are falling. So really at the end of the day, if you can't do much, that's okay. The compost pile will compost itself.
I have heard that, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's a big thing when people are afraid of composting. But then also recognizing there's so many things you can compost that you wouldn't even think about. So I don't know, leaves is one, or glass clippings, but even cardboard. When we have cardboard coming off, or egg cartons, they go in my compost pile. All of my Kleenex goes in my compost pile. Anything that's a paper product that's really thin like that. And some cardboards, but often that makes it really bulky, so you need a bigger space, right? So that's the big thing. But that carbon source, that cardboard or that leaf material, is really important to balance the carbon-nitrogen ratio in your compost pile. So it's really beneficial. And it also adds a lot of organic matter too. So that's compost, which is a whole topic on its own, right?
Yes, but get your compost pile started if you have not started it already.
Yeah, big thing is just get it started and then develop it over time. And then there's lots of other things you can do to amend the soil without going out and buying actual fertilizer. So if you're working on that approach, the big thing is using cover crops to work in that organic matter, work in those nutrients, and to keep the soil covered at all times, right? If you think about the soil as a healthy living ecosystem, and you remove the roots and all of that stuff that's growing, that's basically the food source that feeds all these tiny microbes that are in the soil. So if you remove all that plant material, those microbes are not going to be able to survive very long. So the longer you can keep vegetation on that soil surface, the more healthy, in theory, your soil will be, right? So that's really awesome. And then those roots also help to create air pockets in the soil so that water can go down, worms can go through. So it's just this healthy ecosystem. So that's the big thing, is cover cropping. But these things like composting and cover cropping take years sometimes to establish good soils. So if you're in a situation where, maybe that's not the case and you want to build up faster, then you can use different resources, right? So you can bring in compost, you can bring in manures, right? And you can bring in fertilizer.
Manures from like animals, livestock,
or you know what, even human manure, which sounds really weird, okay? But in a lot of countries, it is very common. And there's a theory too that the soil, and it's getting really weird, but like the soil is also a living ecosystem, and it like your manure that you put back on the soil will indicate to the plant what's missing, and it will produce that, and then it's like a feedback loop, right? So if you're using your own manure, your own compost on the soil, and then you're harvesting and you're making this cycle, then you're completing that cycle, but you're also, the soil is able to talk to the plants, and the plants are able to talk to you, and you're able to, it's like this weird theory, right?
Yeah.
And there's lots of science out there to say that that's true, but it's kind of a weird thing to think about. But manures is a very common thing, right? So there's, aside from human manure, there's all kinds of animal manures, and then there's non-agricultural source materials that you can bring in too. So for instance, like this is a big one. So pulp and paper mill is a very common thing. So everything that comes off pulp and paper mill press, it's really high in organic matter. So what they do is they take the waste product of pulp and paper mill and they amend soil, like up on big mining operations where they're trying to reclaim that ground.
Like when the mine is shut down.
When it's shut down.
Yeah,
and they want to rehabilitate that area. They'll use pulp and paper mill as one of the products, because it's also, if you're in Northern Ontario, let's say, you've got lots of tree pulp and paper mill and you've got lots of mines, right? So they're putting them together to rebuild these areas.
Interesting.
So you don't have to think about bringing nutrients into your soil as like a normal practice like manure. You could use lots of other things as well. So again, it depends on what scale you're at. You're not going to call a pulp and paper mill and be like, yo,
deliver to my house, please.
Bring me a load. Yeah. But there's a lot of big farm practices like that happen like that can help amend the soil. And it's very common in certain areas.
This episode is sponsored by Generations Marketplace and Learning Center. Come on out from May to December to purchase homegrown food, check out our classes, and take a farm tour. You can see everything on Instagram, Facebook, and on our website.
But when we talk about manure specifically, you want to pick a manure you think will be good for your operation as well, or your garden or whatever. And you want to think about also how old that manure is. So if you're getting chicken manure, it's right out of the chicken barn, like don't do it. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, it's going to be too hot and it's going to kill your plants.
Yeah, so when you talk about hot, it's really high nitrogen, right? It's not physically hot.
Too much.
Yeah, and it'll smoke the plants. Like,
what if you were to just put that on like more sparingly?
Yeah, totally.
If all you had access to was like fresh chicken manure, someone say you realize your soil needs help, you have a friend who's got it, and they're like, sure, I'm cleaning my coop out, come on over, fill some totes or something. Then you're like, shoot, I want to put this now. I don't want to have to wait. How long are you supposed to wait for it to cool down?
Well, so there's two things you want to think about. One is if it's coming out of the coop fresh, like it's also pretty active, maybe in potentially other things like E. coli.
Okay.
Right? So you maybe don't want to put on your lettuces.
Something that you're going to eat raw.
Yeah. You maybe want to save it for something like, that you're going to cook, or that's maybe like your perennials or things like that, right?
Or it's not in the ground. So if you're putting it around the bottom, they're not actually making contact.
Exactly. So you want to think about that, or you want to then compost it, right? So maybe they've got some chicken manure from like last year that's just sitting in a pile. That's more probably safer from a edible standpoint, right? But it's also not going to be as hot. So the risk of killing those plants are going to be lower as well.
Okay.
Right? So does that make sense? Yeah.
Does it eventually get like so cooled down that it's useless, or no? Yeah,
in theory. I mean, it's not useless. What happens when you have mature compost is just that there's less nutrient available. So there's a lot of nutrient tied up in the organic matter, which is also really important. So you're getting organic matter, and then you're getting nutrient tied up in organic matter, which will eventually be released over time. But we don't really, when we're looking at like calculations for nutrients, we don't really account for the organic matter so much as having a nutrient content, because it's so low being released that you can't really, there's no added benefit for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you want to sort of get that timing
kind of
right,
yeah, right.
where you're getting the maximum benefit
Exactly.
without the risks.
Yeah. So there's like, so that's where it gets tricky, right? But you can buy products now too that's like chicken manure pelletized, right?
Okay.
So you know that it's consistent nutrient content and it's been pelletized, so it's like, you know, consistent. It's most likely composted. It's easy to handle.
Right. So you can use it right away.
Right away.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you probably can't necessarily kill anything with it because like the fertilizer content is quite low usually.
Okay.
Yeah, but you can use other sources like grasshopper manure. It's called frass, and it's really great. Yeah.
How do you collect that?
That's a great question. I don't actually know.
The grasshopper farms, because they're trying to get us to eat grasshoppers?
Yes.
I'll just take the manure and I'll leave the grasshoppers behind.
Yeah.
And
So-
like rabbit manure, it's not high in nitrogen, so that can go right on without burning. It
Mhm.
doesn't have to sit.
yeah. So it really depends.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Depends.
Make
So
sure
the wild rabbits that are just coming through and like helping themselves to my garden, they're like leaving behind some benefits.
fertilizing
They're
for
being
you.
like, it's like a little back and forth. Like you can eat this, but please also
Yeah.
fertilize.
leave something behind for me.
It's a trade, right? They're
It's
eating
a
your
trade.
plant. They're giving you
Yeah.
nutrient. Yeah.
Okay, so lots of great nutrients in manure. Just get it after it's had some time to sit.
Yeah.
For the most part. And wood ash, that's
Yeah, wood ash is a great. So if you have a wood burning stove, like collect all your ash, right, and then you can put that on your gardens too, like in lower doses. You don't want to overdo it, right? But it's really good for controlling a lot of like bugs, and it's also good as like a pH changer because it's a base basic, right? So if your soils are getting acidic, then it's really good for that. And it's just good to use, like, because a lot of times what do you do with wood ash, right? Like, so we put it on the garden and we find it is helpful for bugs, and then also just kind of stabilizing that pH is really good too, especially if you're putting on some composts that are more acidic, which is fairly common across the industry. Even commercial fertilizer does have some acidity to it, so we want to watch that when they're doing soil tests. Obviously, like larger farms will watch for that, but you want to just kind of be cognizant of that in your own garden as well. So but it's a great way to use it up because otherwise what do you do with it? So,
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you could be making soap like wood ash and lye and making soap,
It's
right?
like really, really going like back to basics with your soap making, like making your own lye first.
Yeah.
yes.
So-
And we also use it as instead of sidewalk salt, you can use it on ice.
Oh.
Just make traction and melt the ice.
Oh, cool.
Didn't know that.
It's
Yeah.
really good.
Well, now you're telling me that, and it's April. I don't even worry about it
Next
anymore.
year.
Get my snow tires off and don't need.
It's not fun when you trek it into the house, but it's a great, especially when like we couldn't get salt for a little while.
Right. There was a shortage there.
Yeah. We just emptied out all the fireplaces and very good.
Oh, that's great.
Anything else that we can do to our soil?
Oh, golly. Well, those are the basic things, right?
Okay,
Like,
so let's start with the basics and
yeah.
get some soil amended and healthier plants.
Get some compost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cooking.
Working.
Yeah. So, there
Awesome.
you go.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Enjoy getting your compost started if you haven't already.
Thank you for joining us. Make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and until next time, enjoy filling your hearts and your jars.